Hello, and welcome to a look at Blade Warrior for the Amiga, a game that was released by Imageworks. Now, before we get on to the plot, the thumbnail text I have used may seem a bit odd, and there's a very good reason why I use that text, and I will make sure to explain that later in the video. But a game without a plot is like a game without a... never mind. The plot. A long forgotten country world thing, whatever, called Joy. A wizard resided called Ginty. He claimed to be a very powerful sorcerer, but no one took him overly seriously and considered him to be slightly eccentric. But his magic was entertaining the children, so they accepted his presence. Of course, things have to turn bad. There's no fun without it going sour, is there? And to cut a long story short, or should I say a short story shorter, Merc, the incarnation of pure evil, shows up. Ginty, holding a stone tablet close to his chest, confronts Merc, and Merc makes some sort of incantation, and poof, Ginty gone. Everything goes from bad to extremely unpleasantly cold coffee bad. But there's still hope, because people are hoping that the stone tablet, which was shattered in the confrontation between the two, that the fragments can be found and reformed or reforged or whatever, repaired things, because that stone tablet can be used to overthrow Merc. Considering that Ginty himself held that stone tablet, that seems like a likely outcome, but yeah. The plot is about as thin as sliced cling film, but a game doesn't need a decent plot to be good, does it? You are in control of a character of some description. The title of the game could indicate that it is a warrior, but the gameplay indicates that it is a sorcerer, apprentice, wizard thing. Because the gameplay consists of you going around on various different screens and picking up spell ingredients. Each spell ingredient is attached to a certain element. The good old classic 4 elements of earth, water, air and fire. And you can use those ingredients to mix spells. But more importantly, you can use those ingredients to trade with the 7 wizards, which are part of this world thing. The reason you want to do that is because you want to learn new spells, but you also want to get hints as to what that wizard wants. Because the stone tablet was broken into 7 fragments, and the 7 wizards just happens to have a stone fragment each. But obviously they are selfish enough to perfectly accept the fact that Merc exists, knowing that the stone tablet fragments could help defeat him. Well, whatever. So you go around and gather said ingredients and maybe spend some time mixing some spells yourself, and then you have to find keys to open the gates, to open the path to whatever wizard you are going to trade with, speak to. And said wizard will give you some sort of clue as to which artifact they might find likable. Because there's a bunch of artifacts, a total of 14 actually. And each wizard likes one specific artifact, and by working out clues as to which wizard wants which artifact, You can give them the artifacts and get a stone fragment in return. And once you have 7 stone fragments, you can go to the sorcerer on the map, who will reforge the stone tablet, and you can use it to enchant your sword, locate Merc, and beat him senseless once and for all. Let's do technical stuff. From a graphical point of view, I think you can say that the graphical style is unique. I know it is a style that was used in much later games with a high amount of success. But bearing in mind, of course, that this was a game from the early 90s, so it would have definitely stood out because of the graphical nature. Whether you find the graphics to be good or not, that is entirely up to you. I will stick to my statement of calling it unique. There's a certain attempt of making a certain amount of animation, and while it works okay, it's not spectacular. And when you have 4 or 5 enemies chasing you because you can't be bothered fighting them, the game chunks like absolute crazy. So claiming that the graphics are moving smoothly is not entirely true. I haven't discovered any music, so no words on the music, but the sound effects. Some of the ambient sound effects, such as the thunder in the background and that kind of stuff, sort of works to give the game a very, very eerie and creepy feel alongside the graphics, of course. But something like an enemy passing through your character, damaging you in the process, that sound is very, very reminiscent of someone tossing a 7-inch nail into a blender and switching it on. It doesn't sound particularly good. And there's a certain coarseness to the sound effects, so I'm not going to smash them for that, but it's not exactly excellence on, I was about to say display, but you know what I mean. The controls are fine, left, right, do what you expect them to, up to enter buildings and pathways. Diagonally up, left or right to try and grab something high, whether it's something flying or something on a high location, and down to pick up something from the ground. With the fire button held, you have various different fighting moves, and the enemies you encounter have a weak spot, and by using your different attacks you can work out what that weak spot is. The problem comes in the fact that if the enemies have a weak spot, and there's an elevation difference between you and your enemy, then you are not, in most cases, not able to actually hit the weak spot before you make sure to move to an area where the elevation is equal, which makes it a bit annoying. The gameplay is to find several artifacts, hand them over to some wizards to get some fragments, to go to a sorcerer to get your sword enchanted, find Merc, and kill him. The problem is, of course, that you have an awful lot of wandering to do, and you have an awful lot of spell component gathering to do, and an awful lot of enemies to fight or avoid fighting, which is more likely the case. And that makes the idea of having to go through all that stuff in order to satisfy the wizards, in order to be able to complete the main objective of the game, to be a task you most likely don't want to complete. Because the main gameplay loop, which is traveling around and fighting monsters, is incredibly tedious. And that is the explanation for my thumbnail text. If you strike a match, it will glow brightly for about half a second, then the flame will settle, and a few seconds later it will die out. And that is exactly how I feel about this game. Its unique graphical style will catch your attention. And playing the game will probably hold your interest for a minute and a half. And then, unless you are a very, very persistent person who really loves to gather components in order to be able to gather other components, in order to be able to trade said components for some other components that you have to take to another individual, if you don't like that kind of gameplay, this game fizzles so incredibly quickly. For the purpose of making this video, I made a very, very determined attempt at pushing it as far as I could, but the main gameplay loop is simply too weak to justify playing this. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.